Hello and welcome to another Sunday live stream. I've got something that I think is pretty special planned for today, and that is to go over the new version of Rescuezilla. I've got a few different scenarios laid out, and I'm currently working on getting one final scenario set up and ready to go. And we'll go through those. We'll try to answer questions. I've got some information from the developer, and I'm hoping that this will answer some questions about Rescuezilla and maybe convince people, if they haven't up to this point, to try out the product and see what it can do for them, and if it's right for them, to move forward with it. I'm just checking right now to make sure that I am online because I'm not seeing anybody in chat yet. So it appears that I am broadcasting by the look of it. Give it another couple of minutes. Maybe this final scenario will finish up. And looks good there. So, all right. So let me move some things around here and we can start talking through this. And I guess if people are a little slow coming in, then we will have to have them watch over some of this stuff after the fact. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. All right, so Rescuezilla is available at Rescuezilla.com. And I've dropped that into the chat. The main version, and I'll come back to this in a moment. The main version is now based on Ubuntu 21.04. Now, of course, you can write this to a USB stick. You can use this using Balena Etcher, as the Rescuezilla site suggests. You can also use other tools such as Yumi if you're on Windows and you want to put multiple ISOs on a single thumb drive, or my new favorite tool for this, because it's cross-platform, is Ventoy. And I have done a video on that. So all right, so let's throw my Ventoy video in the chat here momentarily. All right, so we are going to come over here and copy that, and I'll drop that in chat as well. All right. Good morning, Catherine. So, okay. So, so far we've talked just a little bit about the new version of Rescuezilla. We've talked about ways you can get it written to a USB drive. You can also use the ISO image by itself if you're using virtualization. Give me one moment here. I need to set a VM to restart. And hopefully that will do what I'm expecting it to do. Okay, so yes, the new version of Rescuezilla is based on Ubuntu 21.04. And I'm going to go to my notes because the developer sent me an email yesterday and had some interesting things to point out. So first off, there have been some reports of problems with the new version 2.2 with VirtualBox. And I'm paraphrasing the email. In this case, you have two options. Option one is to use the graphical fallback mode that is available from the Ubuntu 21.04 based version 2.2 of Rescuezilla. Your second option is to grab the alternate version of Rescuezilla 2.2, which, let me make sure I'm still displaying my screen. Okay, I'm going to blow that up to full screen. So if you come over to under Get Started, you jump over to their GitHub page, and under Assets, they have a version of Rescuezilla version 2.2 that's based on Ubuntu 21.04, which is the long-term support release. So that is your second option if you have problems getting to a desktop with the new version based on Hirsuit, which is, again, 21.04. Okay, so can you use Rufus to put it on a USB? I am assuming so. I have not used Rufus extensively. I always tended to use Yumi because it had better support at the time that I initially looked at it for more Linux distributions, whereas Rufus seemed to be more aimed at putting different versions of Windows on a USB stick. So I will say that's going to be a your mileage may vary type of situation. But it's worth a try. If you try it and it works, let us know, report back to us. And again, if people are trying things and reporting back, it makes the community stronger, and it makes some of this stuff a little more fun and interactive, and it's just a great way to share knowledge. Okay, so we've talked about the different versions of Rescuezilla. So I'm going to drop this back to this view again, or maybe that one. Okay, so back to my notes. Okay, so there have also been issues or potential issues reported where a user's QEMU, which is a QCOW2 image, would not scan. And again, it doesn't sound like this has been widely reported, but it is a potential issue. Again, this may or may not be user error or some sort of a configuration dependent issue. And the third thing the developer pointed out to me in the email was blank VM images could pose problems, and this has something to do with the underlying NBD or network block device feature. So that would have to do with if you've got, for instance, a network attached storage and you're accessing the VM image over the network. There are other scenarios where this could come up as well, but that is one potential there. So those are the main points from the email that the developer sent me. I did, just for the record, I did extend an invitation to the developer to see if they could join today's live stream, and they were unable to. And you know, that's all right. That's all right. I did at least extend the invitation, and you know, if they should ever want to come on or propose an alternate time that might work well for both of us, I am more than willing to entertain that thought. So the invitation is out there and a standing offer. So, okay. Well, so Catherine, you asked about something existing for Windows. Are you referring to Ventoy, or are you referring to something else? If you could clarify, I would appreciate that. I just want to make sure I'm addressing all the questions, or try to address all the questions as they come in. So let me know on that. So, okay. We are going to get started with the testing scenarios then. And let me see. Make sure I've got this set up properly. So far, so good. Okay. I don't know why that's running. That's all right. Let me bring back my notes. Good morning, David. Okay, so one of the new things with Rescuezilla, close that, and one of the new things with Rescuezilla is that you now have the ability to clone a hard drive. And since I don't have an extra machine set up right next to me to make this easy to do, we're going to do it in a virtual machine. The process is basically the same as if you were using real hardware. I think most people know that, but it's worth saying again. So we've got, this is a 25 gigabyte virtual disk. So we're going to add a second 25 gigabyte virtual disk. Oops. Create. And that should show up down here at the bottom. Rocky Linux release candidate clone 1. We'll choose that. So we've got two identical size disks. You can also do this if you've got an existing smaller disk and you want to clone to a larger disk. And I will talk more about that in a moment. So we are going to select Rescuezilla as our boot device. And we're just going to double check and make sure optical is the first boot option. And we'll go ahead and start that up. And this should look pretty similar if you've used a previous version of Rescuezilla. And so as soon as this boots up to the desktop, we'll resize the resolution and then use the clone feature. Okay, so we're going to use A, R, and R. And we're going to do outputs, resolution, and we're going to say, let's do 1440 by 900. Gives us some more real estate to play with. All right, so the previous version, the 2.1.3 version, had just backup, restore, and image explorer. New in version 2.2 is clone. So we launch the clone feature. It tells you about it. And then, of course, you click next. And it's going to try to identify the hard drives that are on your system. So the disk that we want to use is actually number 2, because this has a file system assigned to it, XFS. And so we're going to use this as our source drive. And so we click next. The destination drive. This is typically going to be the drive that's not formatted when you go into this process. So, for instance, you might have bought a brand new drive and you are going to replace the original one. So you select the second drive. Well, in this case, it's the first drive. Select the new drive, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Click next. Select partitions to clone. We're going to clone all of them. And next once again. Gives you a summary, and clicking next one more time, it gives you one final warning about rewriting data, and you say yes. Of course, you want to make sure all of your settings are correct, but then you wait. All right, let's see. Catherine, congratulations on the new rescue kitten. I'm sure that's a lot of work, and as David said, actually, but I'm sure it's rewarding having a new kitten around. Good morning, Tony from Quick Tech Solutions LLC. Welcome. And welcome to Chris as well. So for those that came in a few minutes after we started, we are testing out the new version of Rescuezilla. This version adds the clone feature, as well as some other VM-related features where you can read from VDI or QCOW2 disks that you might have exported from a VM, and you can actually read and explore that virtual disk without having to reattach it to a new VM, which could be very handy. I can imagine a lot of cases where I could use that. Let's see. The only issue I've found with Rescuezilla is I have several Dell 3060s pre-installed with Ubuntu. Rescuezilla doesn't boot on those machines. Have you tried the version 2.2 that just came out on Friday, Chris? I'm curious. I did get an email from the developer yesterday. Let's reformat the drives first. And okay, so all right. Let me jump back while this is doing its clone process. Let me jump back to the Rescuezilla GitHub page. Just for future reference, one of the potential issues that the developer pointed out to me in an email yesterday is that it has been reported that the new version doesn't boot on some machine that doesn't reach the desktop. It just gets a black screen. In that case, as I mentioned earlier, there are a couple of routes you can go. First is to try the graphical fallback mode using the standard 2.2 version of Rescuezilla. The other is to go to their GitHub page and download the 2.2 version based on Ubuntu 20.04 LTS. And that may or may not solve your problem. But it is something that the developer is aware of. It's been reported. And I was actually able to reproduce it on VirtualBox, which is actually where the developer pointed out that it was happening. But it's interesting to know, Chris, that it's happening on physical hardware as well. So, I know the developer is planning on looking at this live stream after it's over and potentially leaving some information in chat, or not chat, but in the comments. So if you see the user ID Rescuezilla in the comments, you may want to engage with the developer, and maybe we can work towards a resolution of the problem. So let's see. Come back here. And okay. Clone has completed. So we're going to say next. We'll close out the application, and we'll go ahead and shut down the VM. Okay, so before I do anything major that could potentially break this, I'm going to take a snapshot. Excuse me. And with that out of the way, we'll jump back here, come into settings, under storage, and we are actually going to delete our first disk. So that really, that was not the disk I wanted to delete. And once again, the curse of the live demo bites me. Let's come back and try this again. Okay. Now, I just want to make sure that should be, this is the original storage, Rocky Linux RC _1. Okay. Maybe I did delete the correct disk the first time. So yes, that should be the one I want to delete. And we'll make sure hard disk, we'll just disable optical. And with a little luck, this should actually boot up. And it's going to. So we've successfully cloned that disk, and that should do its thing. So Okay, thank you, Catherine. It's good to know that Rufus does work to put Rescuezilla on a USB drive. Thank you for testing that while we're live. I appreciate it. Let's see. Okay, so this does in fact boot up. I'm not going to log into it. I'm just going to shut it back down again. And we're going to move on to scenario number 2. All right, let me take a look at my notes again. So we've covered scenario number 1. I'm going to put that in strike through mode. So we are going to go ahead and close VirtualBox and open up Splashtop. And we are going to move over to the Optiplex running Ubuntu. So far, so good. Okay, so we're actually going to jump to scenario number 4 right now because this is the last thing I set up. And you'll have to bear with me for just a moment because this is the first run of a fresh install of Zorin OS. This is a Zorin 16 beta. If it will cooperate with me, power that off. Okay, so close that. Bring VMware Player back up. So we've got Zorin 16 beta. And if I remember correctly, you can come here to hard disk, and we are going to add another hard disk, make it a SCSI, new virtual, and we'll actually give it an extra 5 gigabytes. Say next, finish, and save. Okay, so now we should have, and we do, we've got a 20 gigabyte hard disk. We've got a 25 gigabyte hard disk. We are going to change the ISO image to Rescuezilla 2.2. Open this, save, and then we'll power on the VM. Get our little warning. So I don't do a lot of work with, this is actually scenario 3, not 4. I don't do a lot of work with VMware Player, and it didn't do what I was telling it to do. But I just wanted to try to be as thorough as possible in the testing scenarios. I'll go ahead and shut this down again and see what the problem was. I wanted to be as thorough as possible in the testing scenarios, and so I wanted to show VirtualBox on at least 2 platforms. So we did Mac OS and Ubuntu, or will do Ubuntu. Also, I wanted to do VMware Player. And I would guess that the BIOS settings are options. Leik 64-bit. And again, I don't use VMware Player that often, so I'm probably missing something really simple here. Want to do bridged. And that is Rescuezilla. Advanced. Should be fine. Okay. Power on. And this is probably not going to do what I want it to do. Pretty sure it's not. Anyways, I did in fact test this with VMware Player earlier, and that I'm just going to kill it. And it did work fine. I did not have any issues with it. So I'm going to go ahead and put that in strikeout mode. Now, going back to VirtualBox, let me jump into chat, see if there are any other questions up to this point. Let's see. Let's see. Chris says, instead of using a lot of USB imaging tools, I just partition a flash drive to FAT32, extract the contents of the ISO to the flash drive. Works perfect. So yeah, that's one of the great things I found about Ventoy is it does something pretty similar. And that's one of the reasons that I've adopted that tool and stuck with it is it seems to be able to support both MBR and GPT disks, UEFI and BIOS. And once you install their little wedge tool, then all you have to do is drag the ISO images onto the USB stick, and it does everything else for you in the background. So but I have used that technique too, Chris, just extracting the contents of the ISO to the flash drive, and that does work nicely. Let's see. Usually do this since I create a single 1 GB partition for Rescuezilla and another partitions of NTFS for holding images that I make or extract. Yep. Okay. We have here. Okay. So the next scenario, I actually used VirtualBox on Ubuntu, and I decided to use my Windows 10 VM that I downloaded from Microsoft as the guinea pig. For this one, I tried with the new version of Rescuezilla. And this does, in fact, trigger the issue where it just sticks at a black screen. Or it did the last time I tried it. So we'll give it a minute here to see what it does. This was actually the only way that I could get this specific problem to happen in VirtualBox. So if we come over here and we kill that, oh. Well, it tried. It was trying to do something. So obviously that didn't work correctly. So restarting this, English, graphical fallback mode, and it actually is going to boot up fine. I did notice that using this mode, the mouse pointer is quite laggy, but not unusable. And I guess it's a little laggy. But if you're in a pinch and need to use this, it's good to know about. So I did also test with, see if we can jump back real quick. I did also test with the alternate version, the focal version. And if I remember correctly, this booted up just fine. Okay, so I've got this in scaled mode right now, so everything is just blown up huge. But that did in fact boot. So that alternate version, if you're using it within VirtualBox, does work. So I've got both versions available at my disposal. No worries, David. I'm excited to see what you bring out next. I think your videos with Micro Center have been quite interesting, and especially when you got more people to start talking with you. Let's do, oh, I guess I shut that machine down. Whoops. Okay, so the last scenario I wanted to look at is going over to Proxmox VE. So something that's more server level virtualization. Let's do this one. Okay. So this is my little Optiplex that I've got running in the other room. And so the first thing we need to do, of course, is upload our ISO image. And so we will select that. Rescuezilla 2.2, upload. Okay, there we go. Last message I get when trying to use with the fallback mode on those Dells pre-installed with Ubuntu is, okay, started update UTMP about system run level changes. Interesting. That's not a message I've had, and I don't have any 30 what did you say, a 3060? You scroll back. Let's see, 3060s, Dell 3060s. The newest Dell Optiplex I've got right now is a 7040. So you're a couple of generations newer than what I've got. Up to this point, I've not had any problems with the older Optiplex versions. But it's good to know that there's an issue with the new ones, and so let's see, if I use gparted and wipe the drive or use Conezilla to install a Windows image, then Rescuezilla boots fine. It's peculiar. Seems like it's something how the drives are formatted with Ubuntu from Dell. That wouldn't surprise me. Oh, and look at that. I got myself another error. Okay, so we'll move to the other Proxmox box. 150. You know, I've got more storage space on this one, so I probably need to address that. And I got redo rescue on here. We will upload Rescuezilla. .2. Hopefully that'll work this time. My apologies, I did not test this scenario before the live stream. Dell always has issues. Yeah, I won't use consumer level Dell products. I was burned. I bought a Dell XPS 13 back in 2008, the summer before I started grad school. And I got about 18 months of use out of that machine. And I plugged it in one night before I went to bed, so I'd have a full charge in the morning when I took it and went to work. And it wouldn't turn on. I tried a bunch of different things, pretty much everything that was suggested with that particular XPS model, and never got it to turn on again. So the only Dells I will buy now are used ones, usually Optiplexes. I did that initially because I've got an Optiplex on my desk at work, and I wanted to have something identical at home to mess around with. So for what little bit I paid for a 7010, that was a great investment. And then the 7040 that I've got Ubuntu running on, I also picked up for a little bit of nothing. And then I've got a an Optiplex. I think it's a 990 in the next room that is running Proxmox. So I am not opposed to using Optiplexes for running some non-production level virtualization. So as a whole, we have switched to Lenovo for all workstation related machines and looking at using their SE350 Edge servers for other projects. Good to know. See, I may have been close to a cow when I was a kid. Grandparents had a farm in Louisiana. Other than that, I've only seen them on the screen or as I drive by a farm upstate New York. Lenovo SE350 Edge servers. Let's skip the ads. Go right to Lenovo 1U. Nice. My first question is, what is Wi-Fi doing on a server? But okay. Software RAID available, hardware RAID. It looks pretty slick. It does have 10 gigabit Ethernet. And operating system supported. This is what I wanted to see. Windows, SUSE Linux Enterprise Server, Ubuntu, Red Hat, VMware ESXi, vSAN. And since Proxmox runs everywhere, I'm assuming that it'll run here fine as well. So I had the same question. Well, you know, great minds think alike. When I was in business school, talking about the chart with Cash Cow seems to match how those Micro Center videos have helped my channel. Yeah, I can't blame you for continuing to do them. Then I haven't really had a video blow up lately, so I'm kind of going back to the drawing board with some things. But yeah, that SE350 looks pretty sweet. Okay, so just for the sake of argument, let's come over here to, this was an Ansible machine. I think I got that one completely installed. Let's do this one. How many disks do I have in that? A bunch. Okay, so let's go to the Pi VPN. Let's see, that's a container. Those are containers. Okay, so let me shut this down. Let me shut this down because I haven't done much with this server anyway. So if we kill it, we kill it. Oh, very cool, David. I'm glad you're going to be playing with that. You know, I told the developer that you know, I've had several people on the channel show some interest in the product, and you know, any extra testing we can provide, I'm sure will make the product better in the future. And yeah, I mean, it's I like it. I like it, and the developer seems to be doing a nice job. I I think it'll be interesting to see how it continues to develop compared to other products, compared to Redo Rescue and to Clonezilla, and you know, just see where things go from there. So let's quit out of this for a minute. So the existing hard disk on here is 50 gigabytes. So we will make a new hard disk that is 52, just to give it a little wiggle room. And we'll go ahead and clone just to make sure that we are able to perform the same process on Proxmox VE. And you go to options and make sure that the optical is the first boot option, and we can go ahead and start this. So David, I would definitely be interested in seeing how Rescuezilla compares to Acronis. I have not used Acronis in quite a while. It's been years since I've touched that product, and would definitely be interested in finding out how the two products compare. So who knows? Ooh, is it gonna glitch on us? Is it gonna glitch on us? It's trying to get to a desktop. Rescuezilla is definitely easier for my desktop support team to use. Okay, so we do seem to have an issue on Proxmox VE with Rescuezilla using the standard version. So we'll go ahead and shut this down. I'll say stop. Yes. Just going to double check. I guess I don't need to do that on this. So let's try this again. Yes. And we'll boot into the fallback mode. And I would imagine that this is going to work just fine. I would guess David could speak on that, Chris. I think Acronis is only for Windows formatted machines, but don't quote me on that. Let's see. I was thinking about cloning an SSD tonight during my live stream with Acronis. Also works with Linux. I've done it. You can create the USB booter with either a Windows or Linux boot image. Gotcha. Okay, so we had to go to the fail-safe mode, but it does in fact launch. And we will let it do its thing here. And so the 50 gig drive is our source. Destination is the 52 gig drive. And then we just push through to the end and let it do its thing. So I will likely be sending another email to our Rescuezilla developer, although he'll probably watch at least part of this back. I'll send him an email and let him know, and maybe it'll warrant putting in issues on GitHub to be addressed. But there have been a couple of glitches that we've experienced during the live stream today. So, if I can provide some detailed information on how I reach those problems, again, maybe it will help make the product better in the future. Because if they're able to troubleshoot it and reproduce it, then it's a whole lot easier to solve the issue. So, good afternoon, JK. Welcome. So we'll let this run, and I have to say, this is an old server, so it's going to take a little while. As you can see, we're only 8.75% in. It's going to take a few minutes. So, do we have questions about Rescuezilla? Do we have general questions? Do we have other topics we want to discuss? It is 11:56 a.m. Eastern, and so we've got about another 35 to 45 minutes left to go through this and to answer questions. So, the more the merrier. Keep the questions coming if they start coming. Tony, you're very welcome. I do what I can with what I've got, I guess is part of the reason my content is what it is. You don't get rich quick working for a library. So everything that I've reinvested into the channel has so far come out of my own pocket. And so it's been a slow growth, but this week we went over 2,400 subscribers. A week ago, I hit 300 videos uploaded or streamed onto YouTube. So making progress. And that's all I can really ask for. I will openly admit I do not know 2,400 people in real life. So I am thankful and humbled in many ways to have that many subscribers, and I just hope it continues to grow, especially as I start adding additional new equipment. Speaking of which, I should probably hide my credit cards because I've been eyeing a different computer, and I probably shouldn't right now, but the 2012 Mac Mini is getting tired. She's performed very, very well, and feeling a little long in the tooth now. Feeling a little long in the tooth, but you know, I don't think I've ever got 10 years, well, 9 years of service out of a PC before. So with the Mac Mini, it'll be 9 years in September, I think. So part of me is wanting to see what the Apple people announce tomorrow at the Worldwide Developer Convention, which will be streamed online, free for everybody. There have been rumors going just nuts that they're going to be announcing a Mac Mini based on an M1X processor, which will have 10-core CPU and what is it? More GPU cores dedicated to it as well. And then the kicker for me is that I want a system with 32 gigs of RAM. So given the price point that this Mac Mini is rumored to come in at, and considering that on the PC side of things, if I wanted a comparable machine, the only thing I could get for the same money would be a graphics card. I am somewhat inclined to go with another Mac Mini, but a lot will depend on what they announce tomorrow. So I'd really like to hold off until maybe next spring to buy, but the way this Mini that I've got is currently going, I'm seeing more of the beach ball of death, and yeah, she's just not as peppy as she used to be. So might be time to repurpose or retire the old Mini. So thank you, David. I appreciate that, and you know, I just love having connections like you to collaborate with and bounce ideas off from, and you know, keep things moving forward. So thank you. And Tony says, you deliver at a comfortable pace and you explain exactly what you're doing. A lot of Linux-based creators blow through this stuff, not taking into consideration their audience. Tony, that means a lot coming from you, knowing that your background is in education. I only spent about 4 years teaching IT courses at a vocational college, but I feel like a lot of my pacing and approach to this channel is a direct result of the 4 years I spent teaching. So thank you. That means a lot coming from somebody that actually has a background in education. And yeah, I appreciate that very much. Thank you. This is a fun feed to be a part of. I do not normally participate in any. Well, thank you, Chris. That's a great compliment. I'm flattered. You know, we're a small group right now, but you know, things are continuing to grow as far as subscribers, and I'm hoping more people will start trickling into the live streams as well as we go forward. I was somewhat conflicted on whether to do this as a Sunday morning stream or whether to do it on the next Thursday night stream, which is coming up this week. But since, you know, there's only 2 days between the release of Rescuezilla 2.2 and today's stream, I thought, you know, this is a perfect timing to do something like this and have it out there. So I just hope it's well received by YouTube at large, as it I suppose I could call it. Okay. And of course, I should mention, just because we're talking about the product, consider that, you know, they're asking you to consider contributing $1 a month through Patreon. If you find the tool useful. I admit I have not done so up to this point. This 2.2 version, I think, has swayed me, and I'm planning to head over there after the live stream and chip in my $1 a month. It's well worth the $12 a year. In my estimation, it's probably worth several times that in reality. You know, they do talk about being able to clone for, you know, whether it's Mac, Windows, Linux, basically anything that Clonezilla can clone. Rescuezilla can also clone. Where this is currently going to get derailed a little bit is the new M1 Max. There aren't many, if any, tools out there to clone the integrated solid state storage on an Apple Silicon based Mac. It seems like Carbon Copy Cloner was going to offer something. I'm not sure what the caveats are with that. If I do decide, to the dismay of my financial advisor, I'm sure, to pull the trigger and purchase one of those, there are many things I will be testing on it. And, you know, I will be reporting back. And so likely when I first get it, one of the first things I'll do is hook it up through the video capture card and capture that initial install procedure, the setup procedure, for a future video. So Rescuezilla is definitely a fantastic product, and the dev is extremely responsive. Worth the $12 for the support. Yeah, absolutely. I can't say that enough. And you know, as far as YouTube is concerned, this is not in any way a sponsored video. This is an open source product. I am simply plugging a product that I use and want to see the development of continued. And yeah. So, Chris, I'm glad you brought up fog. So, one of the new features, and I couldn't find my full feature list. It's probably hiding somewhere. But One of the new features of Rescuezilla is that it can read and restore images created by Fog. So if you've used Fog before and you want, if they do in fact stop development of it, you still have a way of restoring images using Rescuezilla. So basically anything that uses part clone, Rescuezilla is now able to restore. But yes, the support is much more responsive, and if they had a server version, it would be a force to be reckoned with. Yeah, it would be a force to be reckoned with. Okay, so we have finished that. Close that down. Shut down. So just to sort of recap some things, we've looked at Rescuezilla on VirtualBox running on a Mac, VirtualBox running on Ubuntu, VMware Workstation running on Ubuntu, and Proxmox VE, which is a server level virtualization software. So let's see, you come back here and we want to go to, let's see, options. Hardware, there we go. We want to edit this, do not use any media. And that's server 3. So let's come down here and we're going to take a snapshot. Rescuezilla. Oh. Okay, so that's got a snapshot now. And if we come back to hardware, we're going to take the 50 gig drive and we're going to detach it. We don't have to fully remove it or delete it. We can just detach it. And options. Start at boot, no. Okay, I'm going to edit this. And we're going to enable that. And we're going to drag this up under CD-ROM. And we're going to disable NetBoot. And with a little luck, this should boot us back up into an Ubuntu server. And if that works, we'll look at one other scenario. And then we'll still have time for more questions if anybody wants to pipe in. Questions, comments, anything along that nature, I am absolutely open for. So this is booting off the cloned hard drive. And it did, in fact, boot all the way up. And it is server 3, so it's on the new drive. Okay, so let's come back to VirtualBox. And so one of the other features is, we'll get storage set back up to boot from Rescuezilla. One of the other features is that it can read virtual machine disk images. So VDIs, and that's not what I wanted it to do. VDIs, VMDKs, QCOW2 files, basically allowing you to go into an image that you created with virtualization software and be able to pull files off that potentially. So let's see. Try this. There we go. And maybe I can find out here. Okay. While that's doing its thing, we'll launch this and we'll bump up the resolution. That's much better. Okay. So we've got the Image Explorer beta. And so there are a couple ways you could do this. You could either have the disk on the machine that you're booting Rescuezilla from, or you could hit it from across the network. And I'm just looking to see. Let's see. So let's see. Let's go ahead and do this. Keep in mind that you may have to switch the version of SMB to be able to connect to your remote file store, whether it's running some version of Windows, whether it's running Samba on BSD or Linux or something else. But they did a nice job here of telling you which versions of SMB go with which versions of Windows. Some Samba instances will support the newer versions, some don't. That's going to be somewhat dependent on how you've set things up on your NAS or other device. So this is not actually, we're not actually going to look at a VDI or other image created with a virtual machine manager software, but we're going to look at an image created with a previous version of Rescuezilla. So select the partition to access files from. Well, generally you want to go with the larger of the partitions. So in this case, it's 222.9 gigabytes. And you say mount. Yes. And it's going to attempt this. This is one scenario I did not test previously, so this may work or it may fail in a spectacular way, which, you know, it is what it is. The curse of the live demo could rear its ugly head again. So let's see. Okay. I think I've hit everything in chat so far. So that is a large image. And hopefully I don't crash anything in the process of trying to do this. That would be about my damn luck. So, any big projects people are working on this week? Any videos from people that we should, as a group, try to look at? David, I think you mentioned you've got another live stream coming up. Is that tonight? Did I see my notification correctly? Is that tonight at 9 p.m.? Feel free to get a plug in the chat. I'm absolutely fine with that. I still like and stand by the whole pay it forward type of approach to things, and you know, help another creator out when you can. And definitely, if you haven't looked at Tony's stuff over on Quick Tech Solutions LLC, get on over there and see what Tony's bringing to the table. He's got some interesting stuff as well, and I've got so many channels I follow now that it's hard to keep up with everybody. I guess that's not an awful problem to have. I certainly am getting a lot more enjoyment out of YouTube these days than I am from watching network TV of any variety. So I've actually contemplated canceling my Sling TV membership for a period of time. So we'll see if I end up doing that. My only argument for not doing that is that I would lose everything I've got saved on the NVR. Which isn't the end of the world. I will be the first to say that, but the only show on there that I would really like to be able to keep is Halt and Catch Fire. And I think at least one season is available on DVD. The other seasons might be available on Amazon. I'm not entirely sure. So, oh, no worries, David. Was just asking if you had, if I saw the notification correctly that you've got a live stream tonight at 9. Is that correct? All right. Hopefully you guys aren't hearing too much of the fan blowing behind me. I've got sort of an odd setup in my apartment. I don't have central air, so I've got a big air conditioner in the next room, and I've got a fan blowing it into my office. So it's one of those things, you work with what you've got. Anytime, Tony. I'm happy to give a shout out to those creators that I've found value in their channels, and I've had some people do the same for me, and I try to constantly pay it forward and give back, and try to make this, at least in the tech circles, about community, and as much as it is about maybe making a little extra side cash on YouTube. So let's see. I hope the live demo problems don't hit me again. Well, it happens to everybody. I've sort of, as you can see by the time this is taking me right now, I sort of anticipate problems to some extent, and hopefully I'm not just babbling incoherently while I'm waiting for things to happen, but yeah, I agree with David. I think we're all in the same boat trying to figure things out and continue to improve things as we go. I may or may not have been told before that I've got a face for radio, so I had to get over that a little bit before I really got into this live stream business. But I'm kind of glad I did. So no, it's kind of funny. I was talking with a guy I went to school with, starting in 3rd grade through high school graduation, and somebody I don't hear from very often, but I wanted to try to reconnect with a few people. And so I reached out to him earlier this week, and we've sent a couple messages back and forth, which was kind of nice. But when I sent the last message yesterday, I did make a little name drop of that if he's into tech at all, to just search my name on YouTube and he'll find the channel. So I don't want to pressure people into doing it at all, but if I can get a few old classmates to at least subscribe or like a couple of videos, I'm okay with that. David, I've been thinking about that very thing. And see about getting some more people involved and maybe doing sort of a tech roundtable type of discussion where everybody talks about a favorite tool or a favorite experience, something of that nature. Since I use StreamYard for my live streams, I can have, I think, up to 10 people on screen live with me. So I think it would lend well to doing that. And, it's something maybe I'll think about putting together a proposal this week and sending it out to a few people and see who might be interested and when they might want to do it. I'm usually available most weeknights except for Wednesdays, because I work late at the library on Wednesday, and that I don't know. I don't feel like coming home and doing a live stream after my late night. So, anyways, let's see. I still not finished that build of my new primary rig. Just been too busy. Okay. I appreciate that, JK. I'm never going to be an Instagram model. I got into the geek life too early, and yeah, the rest of me shows it, I guess, is the polite way of saying it. My best friend today is from high school, the Boy Scouts, and service academies. It's very cool. Great advice, Tony. Stick with the game plan. Keep producing good content. Forget the numbers. They will come. If you build it, they will come. If you build it, they will come. Now you're going to hear that over and over in your head the rest of the day. If you build it, they will come. Now everybody go watch Field of Dreams. Or maybe it should be Field of Streams. We'll take the idea and run with it. Tech Tool Bag Tuesdays live streams. That's an idea. I kind of like that. I'm going to write that down. I'm going to write that down. That's an idea. I, for one, would love to watch that. Okay. Well, I'm not committing just yet, but I like the idea, and I'm going to play with it a little bit and see if I can get some people interested in doing it as sort of a roundtable type of event. Whether it's twice a month or once a month, I don't want to commit to every week because that's a lot of live streaming. But yeah, I think this has some potential. I understand that idea, David. Oh my. I saw that movie within the last 2 weeks. Wow. If you stream it, they will come. If you stream it, they will come. Oh, well. So we made it to step 4 of 5 on reading this image over the network. Whether it's going to get to step 5 of 5 before we close this out, probably in about another 10 minutes or so, I'm not sure, but I will stick around until 12:45 and see what happens. And yeah, I'm still liking that idea, JK. Tech Tool Bag Tuesdays. All right. Any other questions, comments, ideas that anybody wants to share while we're waiting on the Image Explorer? And granted, this is very clearly marked as beta. I don't want to give people the wrong idea. This is marked as beta. So all right. Another thought would be do the tool bag stand once a month to coincide with Patch Tuesday. That's an idea. Okay. I like it. See, good things can happen when you ask the audience what they want, and you know, sometimes they deliver. I appreciate that very much, JK, and keep your eyes posted. Keep your eyes watching the community tab and any announcements that come out from the channel, and I would not be surprised if this does go forward. So I'm sure there are a lot of creators in my circle that could bring their own set of tools to the table. Some paid, some free and open source. You know, I'm keeping an open mind on this. You know, I know my head is very open source centric for a lot of things. But at the same time, you know, I know there are a lot of people, especially once you get into a corporate situation, that for whatever reason they may not be able to use open source tools, which is fine. You know, businesses tend to move slower on things, but they do generally come around. So, you know, it's definitely one of those things to keep an open mind about. How about nerds on a fence? We could use a fence template. That's an idea as well. Nerds on a fence. All right. I think we got two good ideas coming out of this today. Good thing I had a pad of sticky notes handy. So awesome. Oh, look at that. Look at that. It made it to step 5 of 5. It says mounting image. This may take a while. So it's not fast, but it seems to be working, which I think is further than I got it the last time I tried. Now, like I said earlier, this is absolutely still in beta. I don't want to misrepresent it in any way. But, you know, again, when it comes to open source software, any testing that we can all do as a community and report back is beneficial to the developer and ultimately beneficial to us, the users. So, you know, I can't stress that enough. I thought of that from an old TV show where 3 guys sat on a fence and chatted about home repairs. One of those old 3-rung wooden fences. Okay, yep. How about featuring a lively debate between open source versus paid tech tools on who had the current better tool for a given situation or issue. I like it. Okay. I just can't remember the actual title. Something on a fence. Dating nerds? I don't want to run a dating show. Oops. Debating nerds. That I like better. All right. Well, what do we got time-wise? We got about 6 minutes left. Nerd fights. Of course, the next a logical conclusion is to say Nerd Fight Club. But, you know, the first rule of Nerd Fight Club is you don't talk about Nerd Fight Club, right? I was called a nerd when it was not fashionable. As was I, David. Nerd and geek. And I didn't appreciate it as much at the time, but looking at where some of my high school classmates have ended up and what they've ended up doing, I do, as JK says, I wear it with a badge of honor, or wear the badge with honor. You know, it's takes a special type of person to do this kind of work and to be good at it, and just to have a knack for it. You know, it's something that does not come naturally to a lot of people. And you know, I openly admit I go back to the 8-bit computer days, and you know, I never had the most popular 8-bit computer or the most powerful 8-bit computer, but for all the limitations, I do remember that time fondly. So, in fact, if Tony's still around, he might get a good laugh out of this. My band director in high school, he did all the management for the band on an Apple IIgs, of all things. An Apple IIgs. Okay. So, it looks like our image might actually be mounted. Let's take a look. Take a look. Desktop. Okay, so I'm not seeing it immediately. Well, let's play. Let us play. Aha! Rescuezilla Image Explorer. It's doing something. Let's see. Let me catch up on chat. I brought my 2 nephews with me to see the movie Revenge of the Nerds. And they covered their heads with jackets as we went in and out of the theater. I love those movies. I've got I've got a set. I think it's the first 3, maybe it's the first 4 to Revenge of the Nerds. My Heathkit H8 brings back many fond memories. Tony, I honestly have no idea what program he was using on that thing. I just know that what did they call them? I think they called his little helpers the band candies. But they would always be in his office on that computer. Obviously, this was before you know school issued computers to every teacher, but yeah, it was quite a sight. I'm pretty sure he had both a 5 1/4 and a 3.5 inch floppy drive on this thing. Little color monitor. Yeah, he was pretty big into the Apple stuff at that point in time. And I imagine when he retired that I don't know if he took it with him, if it was his personal machine or if it belonged to the school or what actually happened to it. But yeah, I know he used an Apple IIgs. So oh, good times. Still have my Atari 1040 ST in a box in the garage. Yeah. I'm still interested in seeing that when you dust it off and get it ready for a show. Went through my master's in computer science degree with the Atari, all programs in Pascal. Also had Fortran and COBOL for the Heathkit. That's cool. Commodore stop. Ha 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 ha. So yeah, I went from the Tandy Color computer, which was the first computer, Tandy Color Computer 3, which was the first computer I bought, to a Commodore Amiga. I ran the Amigas through, well, let's see. I got that in 93 and ran it to 99. From 97 to 99, I was running it in parallel with a PC running Linux because Windows 98 was a piece of garbage and it crashed way more than my Amiga did. And then about 2002, by 2002, my Linux machines were what I was using all the time. Went through undergrad and grad school with a combination of Linux machines and Macs. You know, when a PC manufacturer comes out with an aluminum cased laptop that has something similar to a MagSafe connector for the power, I will go all in on a cheaper laptop. But my MacBook Pros have served me very well over the years. And no, I don't buy the low end models. I normally max out the RAM as much as possible. But yeah. So speaking of the Amiga, I don't know if anybody else was into the Amiga back in the day, but there is an accelerator board now for the Amiga 500, which is a machine that came out in 1987. And so this accelerator board plugs into the socket for the 68,000 chip that came with it originally. And it's an adapter board, and you put a Raspberry Pi on it, which then emulates the CPU for the Amiga at a much faster rate, a much faster speed than really any accelerator card ever available for the Amiga. And this is all available. The adapter board is somewhere around $50 US. And you still have to buy the Pi separately, but it's man, it's just amazing the things that they're coming out with for a computer that came out in 1987. So the other piece that this offers is that you also get HDMI output for the Amiga, not to mention an Amiga built in 1987, HDMI output to a flat panel, which is honestly pretty impressive in my book. I'd imagine that there's something similar for the ST, but I honestly don't follow in that circle as much because I never owned one. But hey, it's sure interesting what is coming out for the retro computers these days. All right, let me catch up with chat and we'll start wrapping this up. The store where I bought software, parts and software for my Atari used a Commodore 64 as an actual doorstop. Nice. I couldn't afford a Mac or 386 when I started grad school in 1986. Yeah, they were pretty pricey. Let's see. My Atari ST had 1 meg of memory, and the 68,000 ran at 1 megahertz. Are you sure on the speed of the 68K, David? I thought the Atari and the Amiga both ran at 7 megahertz. I could be wrong. Let's see. Come on. Okay. According to Wikipedia, 8 plus megahertz is what it says. So yeah. I thought that was faster than 1, but anyways, all right. See you later, Tony. Thanks for stopping in. I appreciate it, and you have a good remainder of your afternoon. And don't fry out in the sun out there. I know it's going to hit like 88 degrees in Michigan. So, all right. No worries, David. I've got. I've got this issue where I remember obscure details about things that are of little use to many people. So Yeah, that makes more sense. H8 with a Z80 at 1 megahertz. No worries. So, all right, everybody. On that note, it is now 12:53 in the PM Eastern time. I'm going to go ahead and sign this off. Thank you all for coming out. I appreciate this very much. This was a lot of fun, and while we never got the Image Explorer to show us anything of any use, anyways, it did complete its process, but I'm going to have to test this in a little more detail, and I will be able to report back. But yeah, thank you all for coming out. Have a great afternoon. If you haven't done so already, please take a moment to like the video. Feel free to leave comments, and know that the developer of Rescuezilla is likely going to be watching the comments for a while, and feel free to engage. And if you find a bug in the software, then head over to the GitHub and raise an issue there, and together we can all help make this a better product and to fit our use cases better. But I don't expect anybody to be a mind reader. They can't make it better if we don't report things. So on that note, like David said, take care, everybody. And I will see you in the next live stream, which will be Thursday night. And you should get a notification about that either today or tomorrow. Have a great day, everybody.